is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into a Hump Day edition of Main Street Sports. Today on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday, we'll visit with Heather Williams from WCYB TV out of Bristol. Talk a little NASCAR, vroom, vroom, turn left. Also, Belmont men's basketball coach Casey Alexander will be joining us as we'll dive also into Braves baseball, talk a little NCAA, and the boys have some thoughts on the NCAA women's tournaments. Oh boy, opinions galore. We got them on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday, a wild and windy Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. Now to the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, donning a Braves cap, Mo Patton, and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao. Welcome in, gentlemen.
Yes, welcome in indeed. What a Wednesday it's about to be. We've got a great show coming up for you, and today's top story comes from Conference USA. It's not really a first touch or a kickoff. It's all sports.
All of the above.
That's right. So yesterday it was announced Conference USA, Marshall, Southern Miss, and Old Dominion have come to an agreement. They will separate, and in 2022-23 academic year, conference will play with just 11 members. I believe that is before Jacksonville State and James Madison will join the conference in 23-24. So big news there. The conference football schedules that were released will, I guess, be re-released. So,
I think they would have to.
I'm sure they had both of those planned and ready to go. I don't think anybody's surprised. Is anybody surprised by this? There was no chance those three were playing.
Clearly, they had made that clear.
Yeah,
one way or another. You know, you can do what you want to, but we're not playing. So,
let's get right into the rest of the show. It's going to be a great one, but we need to give you yesterday's results, today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown. All right, busy day once again on the rundown. We'll start in high school baseball as we got Franklin Christian 69 over Zion Christian, Cannon County over Westmoreland. Smyrna shutting out Antioch. This is a baseball score, 24-0. Ravenwood over Blackman. Stewart's Creek defeated Laverne. Lawrence County 4-1 winners over Lincoln County. Oakland defeated New Trier from Illinois. Riverdale over Maryville from Ohio. Rockville down Henry County. Siegel fell to Lake Park out of Illinois. Spring Hill 10-5 winners over Page. Beach shut out by Gallatin. Greenbrier 6-5 winners over Joe Burns. It was Richland big over Hampshire Station Camp, shutting out Hunters Lane 17-0. Loretto in a squeaker over Lewis County. Giles County big over Mount Pleasant 14-1. White House down by Portland 3-2. Overton fell to Summertown 7-2. White House Heritage over Fairview. Cookville falls to Wilson Central. Centennial defeats Brentwood. Nolansville over Columbia Central. Independence down Summit. Clarksville took care of business over Northeast. Springfield defeated Rossview. Northwest fell to West Creek. CPA over Father Ryan. It was Lipscomb Academy by 10 over Brentwood Academy. Pope Prep over Ensworth. DCA with a pair of wins over New Albany, Indiana, and shutting out Ezel Harding. It was Goodpasture over Clarksville Academy, and Columbia Academy defeated Providence Christian. In softball from yesterday, Zion Christian over Fayetteville. Warren County over Mount Juliet. East Robertson falls to Westmoreland. Community over Rockville. Gallatin big over Hunters Lane 18-0. Giles County 3-1 winners at Loretto. Over Loretto. It was Portland falling to Macon County. Summertown shutting out Richland. White House Heritage over Fairview. Columbia Central shut out by Nolansville. Summit by 10 over Ravenwood. Clarksville 2-0 winners over Stewart County. It was Springfield big over Northeast. Brentwood downed Lipscomb Academy. BGA over Ezel Harding. Here's
What's the
another
score?
softball score, 24-20.
Jeez.
Softball. That one took a little bit of time, I'm sure. At the Gulf Coast Classic down in Alabama, it was Ardmore from Alabama over Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant also fell to Foley, Alabama. Columbia Academy defeated Mobile Christian 1-0 and also took down Pleasant Grove as well. Today already it was Mount Pleasant in action. They fall to Hartselle from Alabama 6-5.
That ended there. That was in tournament play, by the way.
Okay.
And currently, yeah, that's kind of
okay.
I'm not sure what's going on. I'll try to find the score for the upcoming schedule.
Okay. All right. So Mount Pleasant's time down at the Gulf Coast Classic complete. On the pitch today, or yesterday rather, boys soccer, Greenbrier 2-1 over White House. White House Heritage 3-2 over Good Pasture Page, shutting out Lawrence County 7-0. Loretto over Scotts Hill 3-2, and MLK shutting out Innsworth 1-0. In NCAA baseball yesterday, it was Evansville 10-5 over Austin P. Vanderbilt defeated Lipscomb at First Horizon Park 7-1. MTSU up on the plateau doubled up Tennessee Tech 8-4. NAIA action, Cumberland 10-5 over Milligan, and in college softball, Murray State took 2 out of 3 over Austin P. Belmont. What are we looking at here?
10-2 and 7-0.
Gotcha. 10-2, 7-0.
Those are double headers.
Okay. So Murray State actually
won 2-1 and
2-1 and 2-0. They swept a pair.
Correct.
Belmont swept a pair over Tennessee State. Cumberland,
same thing
over Lane College. All right. Keeping it fresh. I like it, Chris. NHL, it was the Preds 5-1 winners over the Senators. In action today on the Diamond, high school baseball, 4:30 first pitch. Check your local front offices. Antioch and Maplewood, Lipscomb Academy and Brentwood Academy, CPA at Father Ryan Summit welcoming Independence. At 5, it is West Creek at Joe Burns. 5:30, Innsworth will take on Pope Prep. Gallatin at Beach at 6, also at 6, Henry County and Oakland. At 6:30, Nolensville welcomes Columbia Central. At 7, Greenhill versus Cookville. Hunters Lane at Station Camp. And Centennial will be taking on Brentwood at some point today. At the Warrior Spring Classic, these games are taking place today. Riverdale at Lake Park, scheduled for 4. At 5, it is Smyrna and Moore County. At 6, Blackman will take on New Trier. At 6, also Siegel and Ncaa Valley out of Illinois. 6:30, Summertown versus Smyrna. Also at 6:30, Murfreesboro Central versus Hilton Head Christian from South Carolina. Also at 6:30, Riverdale will play Silver Creek, and at 6:30 as well, Rockville and Spring Hill. Check local listings. These games are played at multiple sites. So dig a little bit to find out where you wish to go. All right, high school softball today. 4 o'clock, first pitch, Waverly at Northeast at 4:30. Brentwood Academy travels to Harpeth Hall. Centennial welcomes Ravenwood at 5:30. At 6, it is Antioch versus Smyrna. And down at the Gulf Shores Classic today, Siegel scheduled to play Lafayette, or they were earlier today, and Columbia Academy versus Pisgah. I believe that one's underway as we speak. And in college baseball, Western Carolina at Tennessee at 4:30 this afternoon on SEC Plus. College softball, Lipscomb will be at Tennessee at 4, also SEC Plus. And Mississippi State is in the borough to take on the Lady Blue Raiders at 4 o'clock. NBA tonight, the Grizzlies in San Antonio to take on the Spurs on Valley Sports South. That is your Wednesday rundown.
Number 1 seed, Columbia Academy in that tournament, taking on my former home of Pisgah, Alabama.
Pisgah.
Yeah. Up on Sand Mountain, just outside of where the Leuven brothers are from. Charlie and Ira. So anyway, championship game for that set at 6:15 tonight. Siegel, the 6th seed in Columbia Academy, could potentially play for the Gulf Shores Classic.
And they've already played once this year, I believe, with Siegel winning that one. So
Mount Pleasant, tough day, but pretty good showing against the second-ranked Hartselle Lady Tigers, number 2 in Class 6A, and only falling 6.
that's nice.
It's a really good tournament down there.
Ought to give them some confidence as they come back into District 10 2A play.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good tournament. Always down there. They have 3 of those every year for 3 spring break weeks, and it's always pretty fun to watch. Anyway, when we come back, Heather Williams, WCYB, talks NASCAR. So stick around on Main Street Sports today. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton, JP Plant on the controls, and keeping us sounding great, doing the best he can to keep us looking decent. Sometimes he has to just zoom out on the camera so that you can't see us, and that's the best time that we look.
Or when we have a guest.
That's right.
Just put them up.
That's always a lot easier. That's just no doubt there. And in fact, we do, Mo, have a guest each week. We are joined by WCYB TV's Heather Williams to talk a little NASCAR, and looking forward to this week because we get to chat about the Richmond Raceway and the claim they make of being the America's premier short track. And so I'm curious how folks in Bristol take to that claim.
I mean, I suppose you could claim whatever you want, right?
Don't make it true, does it?
Go.
Yeah, I could claim I'm 6 feet tall.
That's kind of like that
Much
national.
closer to 5.
That's like that national championship that UCF is claiming.
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Yeah, okay.
1941 for Alabama.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I think Kansas has 2 things in basketball that's called the Helms Trophy. They claim as national championships. So, you know,
You never know.
It's everywhere.
Heather, how are you? How have you been this week? I know the
it's
answer to
been
this.
great. We've been doing a lot of prep work, getting ready for Bristol. So it's been great. It's been fun.
Here's the question for Heather. How are you juggling this weekend's race and your Jayhawks?
I'm probably not going to get to watch Saturday's game because we're having a big short track race here in Bristol. It's like a primer for those dirt races a couple of weeks. And Kyle Larson is running this race, so I'll be at the track covering that. I'm going to have it on in the media center, but I don't know how much I'll get to watch. But I'm off on Monday, so I will, assuming or hoping or praying that they make it, I will be watching that.
Little known fact, Heather Williams, huge Kansas fan. Huge. We'll fight you over the Jayhawks. So be
Probably
careful.
so, yes. I grew up 45 minutes from Lawrence, so.
Have you ever called out of work, Heather, to watch a Kansas game?
I have not. No.
Well,
never
you
have.
and
No,
Eric
I'm
Church
not
don't
gonna-
have something
not
in
gonna-
common then.
No, I will. Right? I know that's so weird to
Yeah.
me. But I'm going to say I haven't watched games at work because I definitely have. But no, I've never called off of work.
That's the
I don't have
positive of
the
being a
money.
sports reporter is you can watch games at work and nobody can say anything to
And
you.
you're working. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
great
call
thing.
it work. Call it work. Yes.
Heather, we do need to talk a little bit about NASCAR, I guess. But I did see, I saw there was a big race in Bristol over the weekend as well on the dirt, which I guess it was the sprint cars. But
It's actually late model cars.
Were they
There's
late
2
models?
weekends at it last weekend and this weekend are basically the same tour. It's here for 2 straight weekends.
gotcha.
And it's all just to kind of they did this last year too. It's all prep to get the track, to check it out, to see if they need to make adjustments and give these guys a chance to race at Bristol. But it's just part of the prep to get ready for the big weekend here.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, nonetheless, interesting weekend as Trackhouse Racing gets its first win with Ross Chastain and did it with a little controversy, moving some folks out of the way and I guess putting a couple folks into the garage, but nonetheless, big weekend for Trackhouse.
For sure. And I actually talked to Ross yesterday. We took a trip out to Trackhouse Racing yesterday. And, to be fair, he says, AJ and Alex Bowman both got into his bumper earlier in that lap.
Mm-hmm.
And that he didn't really mean to, push them as hard as I guess they pushed out of the way. He didn't expect that to happen, but that he thought it was completely fair to make that move because that move had been made on him earlier in the lap. He had been one of the dominant cars all day long and was leading when the green flag dropped on the final restart. So there may be people that see controversy in this, but Ross is not one of them. He finds this to be pretty legitimate and pretty, a perfectly fine move. In the bigger picture for Trackhouse, how great is it to see a new team come into the sport and have this kind of success? This is the great part of the next gen car. And it's a team that has a huge celebrity as its owner, Pitbull. That is great for the profile of the sport of NASCAR. It just raises the visibility and gets people that maybe weren't paying that much attention a little bit more excited. So it's pretty cool.
We were fortunate enough not to get Pitbull on the show, but to get Ty Norris with Trackhouse Racing on with us ahead of the race out at the LA Coliseum. And so pretty cool for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ty's a guy that's been around for a long time and has had success with a number of organizations, CEI, Buckle Waltrip Racing, and he's really him and Justin Marks are really the guys that run this on a day-to-day basis, and so that's awesome. I love that you got to talk to Ty.
Franklin
he's
resident.
way smarter than I'll ever be.
So
that
helped us
I
out.
forgot about that.
He's right here in
sure.
town.
For sure, yeah, I forgot about that.
Other interesting parts of that race, Bubba Wallace's tire just, picked a fine time to leave him loose wheel and just kind of.
Yeah, and when does this become a problem, right?
It's been a problem.
NASCAR NASCAR keeps pointing to crew error, you know. And when even when we talk to,
ain't never been no error before.
well, but they have completely different. So we talked to a couple of crew chiefs yesterday. Darian Grubb at Trackhouse, who's actually, I guess, former crew chief, now director of competition there, and then a couple of crew chiefs over at Fire Motorsports. And I mean, there's a huge difference in the way that you attack these pit stops now as opposed to 5 lug nut pit stops. And Darian said, you know, they're just not taking the time to place the wheel. Before you shove the wheel on there and hit the lug nuts, and it kind of, you know, it's like if you don't quite line up your tires, you know, it'll adjust when you start tightening that lug nut. But with this single lug, you have to place it on there, and it has to be placed perfectly. You have to take a little bit more time. You're gaining time anyway because you're only hitting one lug nut. So he says if you just take a little bit more time, it would help. But I'm not sure that that's all of it, because if it was just happening, you know, every other race or every once in a while, okay. But this happening every race, sometimes multiple times a race. And so whether it's crew error or not, it's a problem. Because it's a danger. You know, if you're driving 200 miles an hour at Talladega and the wheel comes off, not only does the guy that loses his wheel have a danger, but everybody's around him while the wheel's bouncing around. It's like it was bouncing around on I-65.
Listen, I had a wheel fall off on me on I-65, so I feel their pain.
You're hitting a little close to home there, Heather.
Well, I didn't even know, but I mean, it's not good.
And it was a very similar situation. 5 lug nuts, not all of them tightened. Yeah. So
I don't think any of them were tightened.
Yeah, Chris needs to have a talk with his pit crew, I think.
Suspend them for a week or two.
Yeah. So Richmond this weekend, we did finally see a repeat winner, right? We have seen a repeat winner now.
No, we have
no.
not.
Still not a repeat.
No repeats.
Oh goodness.
Everybody's first time winners for the year.
Okay, so what's the guess this weekend? Does that continue? And if so, who is it?
I would guess that would continue. You still got a lot of good drivers that haven't won yet. I mean, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch. Trying to think. I mean, there's Chase Elliott. I mean, and we're in a string here of 3 straight short tracks. If you can include Bristol Dirt, which it is short, it's just a completely different animal, which leveled the playing field in the past, and especially in these next-gen cars. I mean, anyone could win this weekend in Richmond. I mean, you might see somebody just completely out of left field, like Corey LaJoie. I mean, he ran 6th at Atlanta. You know, he's got a short track background on this next gen car. Why couldn't he be front? So, I don't think very many people had Ross Chastain and Chase Briscoe winning and Austin Cindric winning in half of the first races of this year. So, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be neat, and it has been neat so far to see the sport kind of turned on its ear and to see all sorts of new people finding success. Because especially if you look at like a Trackhouse racing, Ross Chastain had a couple of second place finishes before he won this week. So it's not just you showing up to a track and getting lucky. They're running well, and they're running better than some of the big teams right now. So I think that's just fantastic.
Well, it should be a great race, as most short tracks are. But now again, with the next gen car, we've seen it. This is a car that kind of levels the playing field, as you said, Heather. And a place like Richmond is always unpredictable. So I'm looking forward to it. I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like because it's not like Phoenix. Kind of like if an intermediate track and a short track had a child together, because it has characteristics for races like both, which I think makes it, you know, interesting, because, you know, you've got some of the speed of an intermediate track, but you've got the close quarters of a short track.
The Toyota Owners 400 green flag will drop at 2:30 Central Time. So that should be a lot of fun, and Heather will be hoping she's preparing for her Monday party for the Jayhawks Rock Chalk in the national title game against the winner of Duke and North Carolina. So Who you got on the
Villanova
other
has
side?
not been kind to us in the past.
There's that. Who you got on the other side, though? Duke and North Carolina.
Oh, gosh. I mean, the PC thing would be to say Coach K in his final year, right? But, I mean,
No.
North Carolina got them at the end of the regular season, and they are playing some pretty good basketball. So I don't really want to play either one of them, if I'm just being honest, because those are all three of those teams are in there that have not been trying to Kansas. But I would probably say I might pick North Carolina.
I'd love to see North Carolina there just to see Hubert Davis in his first year playing for a national championship. So I think that'd be
what
really
a great
cool.
job he's done. I feel like that's underrated.
That's a story
It's
has
getting
not
lost.
Yeah.
It's really getting lost with the Coach K thing and all of the unpredictability of the tournament to this point. But yeah, I think he's done a fantastic job. And they're an 8 seed.
They're an 8 seed.
Yeah, and a lot of people go when they made the hire were that thrilled with it.
That's true.
There's that.
He's done great.
Absolutely.
Heather, thank you so much. We appreciate it as always.
Yeah, fun time, guys.
We will take a quick break and we will talk about the women's March Madness tournament on the other side. But also there's some rumors flying around about the Titans. And so we're going to have to find somewhere to shove that in here because I was unaware that apparently the New York Jets are trying to get A.J. Brown from the Titans. And I don't think it's anyway. I don't think it's
They can try.
Yeah. So we'll squeeze that in sometime in the show. I don't know when it's going to be, but we'll talk NCAA women's basketball tournament after this because they just can't get it right. Come back. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Find out the latest sports news happening in Gallatin, Hendersonville, Portland, and the rest of Sumner County with Zach Womble each week on Sumner County Sports Podcast. Zach now turns his attention to the spring sports season, from baseball to softball, tennis, track and field, and more. Zach gets you up to date on the latest in local sports news all across Sumner County. The Sumner County Sports Podcast drops every Thursday at noon or on our Main Street social media platforms and wherever you get podcasts. Sumner County Sports Podcast with Zach Womble, weekly from Main Street Media.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports today. I'm Chris Yao. He's Mo Patton. JP's behind the mic number 3. And I haven't used the term trash can juice in quite a while. I don't know that I've used it in this entity of the show.
I don't know that you have.
Yeah, it's Main Street Sports. heard trash can
I
juice?
don't
I
think
don't know that they have, but
well, they're fixing to hear it because NCAA women's basketball tournament selection committee, absolute trash can juice. And the reasoning behind that distinction is that in the 2022 women's Final Four, there are 3 number 1 seeds and 1 number 2 seed. The number 2 seed that's in the Final Four just happened to play their Elite 8 game and their Sweet 16 game, for that matter, in their backyard, 80 miles away from their home arena in what is, I guess, the easiest way to put this, an absolutely inexcusable move by the committee. And yet they have completely stood behind it and said they got it right. And it took 2 overtimes for Connecticut to take down number 1 seed North Carolina State. 2 overtimes. If that game was played anywhere else, you think that crowd might have had something to do with them getting a little extra juice in overtime, Mo?
I mean, in that situation, you'll take any juice you can get, and the fact that you've got 10,000 folks, and the large majority of those are cheering for you, certainly it didn't hurt them.
It certainly did not.
It didn't hurt them. And Grace Rayner of The Athletic has an article, I guess it posted yesterday. Wes Moore of North Carolina State said when the brackets came out, said, I thought we were going to the NCAAs. It turns out we're going to the Geno Invitational.
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong. And I believe somebody sitting on this set said at the time, if I'm North Carolina State, I'm pissed.
Well, we both said it. Absolutely. It was, and we knew that was going to end up happening, and putting North Carolina State in that situation was inexcusable.
Committee Chair Nina King, the athletic director at Duke.
From where?
Duke.
Don't think that might have played a little bit. You would think that it's a little ACC pride, but
apparently
it
spun the other way. Huh?
Clearly.
We take into account fan experience, student athlete welfare, modes of transportation, whether it's a drive or a fly. There's a variety of things that we certainly take into account and have a lot of discussion around. And certainly UConn and Bridgeport was one of those that we spent a lot of time on ensuring we got it right. And I'd hate for them to have spent less time ensuring that they got it right, because they certainly did not.
Here's the thing. North Carolina State was apparently the 3 seed.
The 3rd best number 1 seed.
Yeah, the overall number 3,
mm-hmm.
Right? And despite being number 2 in net and being tied with Stanford with an 8-2 record against top 25 net teams, only behind South Carolina, instead of putting Stanford, which, by the way, Stanford playing in Spokane and South Carolina in Greensboro, but that's still a different state.
Well, see, I mean, here's the thing. Once your regionals were set, Bridgeport, Wichita, Greensboro, and Spokane, like you said, your 4 number 1s, South Carolina is the top overall seed, so they were going to be
Greensboro.
Stanford was the number 2, and since they were
whether
out
they
west,
should have been or not,
right?
They probably got the 2 because.
But even if they weren't the 2 of the 4 number 1s, they were going to be in Spokane,
right?
Regardless,
most likely.
Okay. North Carolina State was the number 3. Who was the 4?
The 4th
Louisville.
team is Louisville.
Okay, so Louisville's in Wichita. I mean, that was
could have gone either way.
Well, Louisville is closer to Wichita than NC State. I mean, of those regionals, as a number 1,
But is Louisville closer or farther away from Bridgeport than North Carolina State as the 4? What they should have done is put UConn in the Wichita region.
UConn should not. I mean, the thing is,
Period.
this isn't about the number ones.
Right. This is about
the number
UConn.
twos, because whoever the number one was going to Bridgeport was going to be disadvantaged if UConn was going to be the number 2 in Bridgeport. So this isn't about the number ones.
Exactly.
This is about the number 2s.
UConn should have been in Wichita. Period.
UConn should have been anywhere.
Or Greensboro.
UConn should have been anywhere
But
Bridgeport. Spokane, for all I care. But not Bridgeport. Not as a number 2.
You're the 2 seed. That's the problem here. And
But
look,
what they're saying is, just like the number 1s were seeded 1 through 4, the number 2s are seeded 5 through 8.
correct.
North Carolina State was the number 3 seed. UConn, conveniently enough, was the number 6 seed.
Convenient. Yeah. Not the 5, the 6. But, and this is what I'm saying. That's why North Carolina State should have been in the Wichita region.
Okay, but then
With UConn.
But then you're.
That's what I'm saying is you've got, if you're using the S curve, you put North Carolina State in Wichita, you put Louisville in Bridgeport, and nobody has any home court advantages anywhere. Period.
Yeah.
If you're going to use the S curve to put to make the matchups, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. But UConn shouldn't play as a number 2 seed 80 miles from its campus with the possibility of playing a home game in the Elite 8. And anybody that can't see that
was in that room that day, apparently.
Well,
What have you got to be?
not all of them, because some of them are on Twitter defending it.
I got a question, guys. You know, for so many years, both the men's and women's selection committees, you'll find some interesting second, potential third, potential Elite 8 matchups that I don't think are just random, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So the precedent, to me, the precedent has been set that you can maneuver a couple of pieces,
You can manipulate
for geography or matchups, what have you, to try to either entice some interesting, maybe second round, it's okay. But you're right. You can't give a 1 seed a disadvantage to a 2 seed. And so I get the S curve, but now they're doing this. Now they're just all of a sudden deciding to go, we seed everybody. And the 1 seeds, we put preferential to geography, and then everything else just goes where. No, really?
That's not how it happened. We all know that's not how it happened.
Yeah, I mean, 10,000 people. It was a great environment.
Mhm.
Great environment.
Great environment
For
great
UConn.
ball
For UConn.
game.
And overall
A
for
great
women's
environment
basketball.
For women's basketball. At the expense
of NC State.
NC
Yeah.
State.
Yep.
There, and that's exactly what, and we're talking about it. We're
Mhm.
not the only ones talking
true.
about it. This is a PR move as much as anything, because any PR is good PR. And just like last year, obviously that wasn't intentional, but they realized that more people this year are watching the women's basketball tournament because of the stink that was made last year.
Mhm.
And that's only going to
And so
continue
people are paying attention
going
to it.
forward. Exactly.
But and that's fine if any PR is good PR and you don't mind the bad PR, because this is
They
bad.
clearly don't. They don't mind it on either side, men's or women's. That's the most equity this tournament has, is the selection committees are trash cans.
on both sides.
Well, it just, the transparency of where teams go sometimes and where you put it. Listen, if they would just, this is entertainment. We try to be as fair as we can, but we have a lot of factors. We have television. We have, a lot of things, sponsorships to think of. So we take all of that into consideration when we're seeding and we're placing people. If some type of statement along those lines would come out and say,
It's not all about competitive.
it's not just straight line competitive black and white, because it's
Mhm.
not, but yet they
And
continually.
we all know that.
Yes,
so
and
stop
they-
trying
exactly.
to pretend like
That's-
we don't know it.
That's the issue.
You're not smarter than us.
That's
correct.
I think that's the toughest thing is you're insulting my intelligence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the most unfortunate thing is, again, North Carolina State has to take this and they have to swallow it because, what are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to not play. And you're not going to make too much of an issue of it on the front end because you don't want to put any kind of idea in your kid's head that you can't beat UConn in Bridgeport. So you got to go out there and do what they did, but to try to tell 18 to 21-year-olds that they weren't disadvantaged in that they're smart enough, they know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you just have to say, listen, we'll play it, but y'all need to know that we don't agree with this. Or you can say, no, we're not going to play it until there's another site. And here's the thing. They're changing the way that regionals are played next year. They're only going to 2 sites instead of 4.
I don't understand that.
2 sites?
Yeah.
2 sites. So one side and the other.
I need to know more about that. Is one of them going to be in Bridgeport?
I don't think so. That was in the article, Mo. So,
The Mohegan Sun.
Yeah. I know Birmingham is one of them in a couple of years. That was
moving forward. The women's tournament will move to 2 regionals next season, one in Greenville, South Carolina, one in Seattle.
Okay.
Future sites include Albany, New York, and Portland, Oregon in 24, Birmingham and Spokane in 25, Fort Worth and Sacramento in 26. But the committee must ensure that number 1 seeds aren't getting shafted in the future like the Wolfpack did, said Grace Rayner. So
there you go. So no, not in Bridgeport anymore. They got the benefit one last time.
There you go.
All right.
Who do they match up with? What's the women's Final Four look like?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's in Minneapolis, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know who they play.
I hope they get to go to Paisley Park.
And that's
like I did.
All right. Let's take a halftime break. Come back. We'll talk a little bit of men's tournament in halftime. So stick around. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. All right, it's halftime here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Eric Church. We mentioned it early, and his North Carolina Tar Heel fandom reaching new heights this year because Eric Church, country music superstar, sells out arenas across the country. 18,000 plus in San Antonio scheduled for Saturday night. Well, that show has been postponed.
Has it been postponed or has it been canceled?
It has been moved. He did.
So has another date has been set?
Another date will be set. Has not to this point, but will be. Offered Ticketmaster refunds for those who wanted the refunds, but you can keep your ticket and you can use it at the next event.
The rescheduled show.
This Saturday, Church said, my family and I are going to stand together to cheer on the Tar Heels as the team has made it to the Final Four. As a lifelong Carolina basketball fan, I've watched Carolina and Duke battle over the years, but to have this matchup in the Final Four for the first time in history of the NCAA tournament is any sports enthusiast's dream. I would agree with that. It's also the most selfish thing I've ever asked the choir to do. Give up your Saturday night plans with us so that I can have this moment with my family and sports community. However, it's the same type of passion felt by the people who fill the seats at our concerts that make us want to be part of a crowd at a game of this significance, which is phenomenal. Then he quotes legendary North Carolina play-by-play voice Woody Durham and says, Woody Durham always said, go where you go and do what you do. Thanks for letting me go here and be with the Tar Heels. A lot of folks, man, and I'm very, very good friends with a lot of very, very big Eric Church fans.
And a lot of very mad Eric Church fans.
some of which paid for tickets to this event, to fly out there, to have hotels. And I get it.
There's plenty to do in San Antonio without going to a bar.
Have you been to the Riverwalk?
I have, in fact.
Because if you haven't, they'll make sure to ask you 15 times. If you've not been to San Antonio, everybody from San Antonio will ask you if you've been to the Riverwalk.
Well, they want to get all the tourists away from their spots.
Exactly.
Just send them all down to the riverfront.
Have you been to Broadway? Go to Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not mad at Eric Church. I think this is phenomenal. This is a guy, and obviously, you guys probably don't know this, but Eric Church concerts, if you go to an Eric Church concert, he does not have an opening act.
It's all him, huh?
He comes out, plays acoustic covers for like 2 hours, and then does his full show.
Wow.
I have not been to an Eric Church show.
It's the best concert I've ever been to in my life, but I've only seen him one time in a bar in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, nice.
I paid $20 for a ticket, and now he's selling out 18,000 seat arenas. Yeah.
And not showing up.
Well, work with George Jones.
He'll make it up to him.
I'm not mad at him. And
No.
I mean, I can understand the folks that are. Stay mad.
Not my problem.
This guy has an opportunity to make some memories with his family.
There you go.
And in fact, I almost applaud him for doing it.
Absolutely.
Because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
First time ever.
People don't. So all of the people who are like, the Final Four is planned a year in advance. No, this is
Now,
not.
Duke, North Carolina
This
in the
has
Final Four
never happened.
was planned
Never.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sunday.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. Way to go, Eric. Do you, man. Enjoy your time.
Enjoy the game. And if he's for the Tar Heels, and hey,
I'm for him.
So exactly.
I hope he gets to go back Monday for the game against
Stick
Kansas or
around.
whoever.
Yep.
All right. Let's take a break and we'll talk a little MLB on the other side of that.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
All right, we've reached the second half of Main Street Sports today. Coming up, a little baseball conversation inching closer and closer to opening day. We'll also be joined by Belmont men's basketball coach Casey Alexander and the realignment tracker. Oh, boy, it's moving. Wild and Wacky Wednesday as well. It's all straight ahead. Second half action on this hump day edition of Main Street Sports today. Back to the Zany Boys, Mo and Chris.
The zany ones. That's right. That's us. Welcome back into this Main Street Sports today. And okay, so the Atlanta Braves had a pretty good offseason, if you ask me. But what if we ask the experts, Mo?
It's funny you should say that, because there was an article over the weekend. I think it was Anthony Castrovents of MLB. Hopefully I didn't delete it.
Well,
Oh,
I was
here we
looking
go.
at Jim Bowden from The Athletic, but
Okay, well, I'm looking at it.
let's see what they say.
Who won the winter? 6 teams with the best moves.
Okay, go for it.
This was on Friday by Anthony Castrovents.
Out of 30. 6 out of 30.
6 out of 30. Number 5, the Atlanta Braves. Go ahead and shed a tear for the loss of Freddie Freeman. You don't have to be a Braves fan to appreciate what he meant to this organization and city. He was a model of durability and dependability and a good citizen. But if you're going to lose one of the game's elite first basemen, replacing him with another elite first baseman who is 5 years younger is a beautiful plan B.
It's a heck of a plan B.
And I had screenshotted this actually to send it to you, so I don't have the rest of this. But
That's okay.
It says, the Braves took advantage of their rich farm system to land Matt Olson, and the reasonable terms of his extension made it manageable to bring back Eddie Rosario. And that's kind of where this screenshot cuts off. But everything else that happened after that,
Jim Bowden gives the Braves an A. Of course, for acquiring.
What else you gonna give them?
Well, an A+, I guess. Acquiring Matt Olson and acquired Jay Jackson for a player to be named later. Obviously signed Kenley Jansen, Eddie Rosario, Colin McHugh.
I think they got Jay Jackson before the lockout.
They did.
From the Giants?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Manny Pena, Kirby Yates, Tyler Thornburg, and Alex Dickerson are the free agents they signed. They extended Olson for 8 years, $168, and of course Charlie Morton for that $20 million contract this year. Basically said they get Ozuna back, they get Acuna back, and this is going to be a really good Braves team, but also it's going to be a really good division. So good luck is basically what he said.
And that's fine.
Gave the Miami Marlins a B+, the New York Mets an A, the Phillies a B+, the Nationals a C-. But I mean, the Nationals have kind of said, look, we're going into full rebuild mode at this point, whereas the Phillies, Mets have kind of said, we want to win now. And the Marlins are quietly putting together a few pieces around that young starting rotation.
Again, and you said it a couple of weeks ago, but it bears repeating. I think the Marlins are the team that concern me the most in the NL East as a Braves fan.
Yep.
Just because, and it may be foolhardy on my part, but I feel like the Mets and the Phillies will figure out some kind of way to screw it up.
No doubt.
So,
and I saw a tweet today from I think it was Fox Sports Braves that or Bally Sports Braves. Sorry, not Fox Sports.
No,
Braves
not Fox Sports. No.
The steamer projections.
Steamer projections
For the top 3 starters for the Atlanta Braves. Max Fried projected to pitch 185 innings, 3.94 ERA. Charlie Morton, 169 with a 3.76 ERA. Ian Anderson, 166 innings with a 4.47.
I was going to ask if he's sub 4, you can cancel Christmas, but he's not.
Well,
but still, for a second-year full-time starter, that's not.
But which of those would be the most likely to outperform that?
Who's most likely to outperform those projections? I could see Charlie Morton throwing more than 169 innings. And what's that ERA projected at? 3 what?
Charlie Morton's 3.76, lower than Max Fried's 3.94.
Yeah, with fewer innings. I don't know if he's going to come in at lower than 3.76, but I think he's going to throw more than 169 innings. So,
well, if today's spring training game is any indication, the 4.46 number for Ian Anderson is a little low. He threw 2 innings, gave up 6 earned runs on 7 hits, and walked 3, struck out 4 with a 10.8 ERA for the day.
Get it out now.
I mean, again, Spring training is all about working on pitches that you aren't comfortable with necessarily, right? You don't know these hitters. You've not studied these hitters. This is not, spring training is not what you want to see from pitching. Is about working your arm and getting your arm and working on some pitches that you want to develop. It's not about going out there and dominating. So,
and to your point, I feel like Ian Anderson will be ready when the time comes.
Absolutely, he will be. So I'm not worried about it. I just thought that was an interesting projection. I think all three of them will probably outperform that ERA number. So, real quick, the Titans, I don't know if they are entertaining an offer, but there has been some discussion about A.J. Brown potentially and the New York Jets, that essentially, this coming from an NFL insider or whatever you want to call it, saying that the Titans could get picks number 10 and number 69. And I'm not sure that 2 picks is enough. This is from Chad Forbes of NFL Draft Bites. Jets receive A.J. Brown. Titans receive picks 10 and 69. No. Why would you do that? That makes no sense whatsoever. One guy said, so the plan is to lose A.J. Brown, get worse at quarterback, and waste the rest of Henry's prime? No, thank you.
We get calls about players all the time. That's what GMs do. I haven't received any of those calls. And if they do call, our intention is, AJ, we're going to keep him in Nashville. He is an important part of our offense.
There you go. And
I just don't see a scenario where AJ Brown is not a Tennessee Titan in 2022 and beyond.
For a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ Brown does have a camp scheduled at Montgomery Bell Academy on June 18th, but I hope he's careful, because the last time that he held them camp work at NBA, they were trying to kick us out of the league. Remember the COVID issue? Him and Tannehill and a couple of those other guys were out at NBA running routes. And then the rest of the league wanted to kick the Titans out and suspend them and forfeits and all this.
They won coming out of that, though, didn't they?
No, that was in the,
was it
in the summer.
I thought they did something over at NBA before a game that they won here during COVID.
I just thought it was funny. So AJ is going to be a Titan. Don't worry, Titans fans. Let's move on. We've got a great guest waiting for us. It's Casey Alexander, the Belmont men's basketball coach. So stick here on Main Street Sports Today. We will be back after this. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports today. Speaking of highschoolofficials.com, we'll have Bernard Childress on the show tomorrow.
We plan to have Bernard Childress on the show.
We have scheduled
tomorrow.
the coach.
Yes. Hopefully that will come to fruition, because it's been a while since we've had him on.
That's right. So
we've got some things we need to catch up on.
No doubt, including high school officials. So anyway, we will hopefully talk to TWSLA Executive Director tomorrow. Today, though, we will talk with Belmont men's basketball coach Casey Alexander, whose program is getting ready to end one era and begin another, and looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Coach, how are you? How's off season been treating you?
Hey, I'm great. Off season is underway. Guys are in the gym right now, as a matter of fact. And I have a lot of opinions on officials, by the way. If you need my opinions on officials.
You're the reason why we're short officials, Coach Alexander.
I got a lot of respect for those guys, man. They work hard, and man, they take a beating.
They do. They do take a beating. Now, some of those beatings are deserved.
We do take beatings, Mo.
Speak for yourself. No, nobody beats me. Not for long, anyway.
Even at the 10U level, Coach, it's rough out there for us.
Casey, there's a lot we could talk to you about, but as Chris alluded, one of the things that we have to talk to you about, there will be a different letter in Belmont's conference affiliation next year, going from the OVC to the MVC. How excited are you about going to, as they refer to it, the Valley?
Right. Yeah, excited. I think it's a great step for Belmont. Certainly a new challenge for all of our teams, but men's basketball has a tougher road to hoe. Without a doubt, it's going to be a real challenge. That league got a ton of tradition. Second oldest league in the country. A lot of teams. Since the year 2000, they've had 6 different schools go to the Sweet 16. A lot of success. I think the league has won 12 out of its last 14 first-round games in the NCAA tournament. So, a lot of schools that are committed to winning, and we'll have to get better, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, going from the OVC, which has been over the last 5 or 6 years a really good basketball conference. I mean, when you think of the likes of Murray State and what Jacksonville did a couple of years ago, and I mean the OVC, Austin P as well. I think it's a good conference, but the Missouri Valley is a lot different, and going into a whole different area of the country to the Bradleys and the Drakes and, that sort of thing, Northern Iowa, etc.
Creighton.
It gets a little crazy.
Yeah, it does. And that's part of the change. I mean, the OVC for us has been great. It's been largely a bus league. Well, it has been entirely a bus league, but largely on the same day. Literally, a lot of our games, we just drive up and back the same way the high schools do it. So we won't have that luxury anymore. I think the biggest difference, the OVC is a great league. There are no bad ones. I mean, Division I basketball is tough. But I think the commitment level from the top of the league to the bottom of the league in the Missouri Valley is where we'll see the biggest differences. Just the competitiveness of each team in the league, and much more difficult to win road games, for example. So yeah, we got a lot to learn, and travel will be a big part of that. And we'll take charter flights on occasion for the first time ever in our history. Naturally, the budget and so forth will have to be expanded to a significant degree. So a lot of changes on the horizon.
I'm fascinated, Casey, as I look at the makeup of the Missouri Valley Conference. As again, Chris mentioned some of the teams, but Northern Iowa, Missouri State, Drake, Loyola, Bradley, Southern Illinois, Valpo, Illinois State, Indiana State, and Evansville. Your fans are going to have to become familiar with a lot of these teams because obviously you've not seen them. does that bring excitement? Does that dull things down because of that lack of familiarity?
I'd say a little of both. I mean, newness is always good, a fresh perspective and new teams coming into the Curb Event Center, and I think they'll quickly see, I think everybody wants to see good teams and better basketball. So I think they'll see that the product on a daily basis is worth coming for, but there is a learning curve with new players, coaches, teams, styles, rivalries, that sort of thing. One of the reasons why, Murray State going into the Missouri Valley with us will be helpful. We maintain that rivalry and that connection, so we keep things the same to some degree, at least as far as our, most notable opponent. But we've got some new ones on the horizon as well.
Well, and that was going to be part of my next question was how important was it for Murray State to continue to be in that conference with you, because you guys have been the class of the Ohio Valley Conference for years and years. And, that's been the rivalry for a long time. So it kind of being able to keep that has to be a positive for you guys. And obviously keeping at least somebody nearby. Close enough anyway.
And there's some, there are some schools. I mean, Evansville's only 2.5 hours away. Southern Illinois is only 3 hours or so away. Indiana State's only 3.5 hours away. So there's some that are still drivable and bus distance, and by conference standards, definitely close. It's just we've got some farther away than we're used to as well. But Murray has been a great rival since Belmont joined the OVC 10 years ago. That's been a great rivalry. One of us has finished first in the league every one of those 10 years. Belmont finished seventh. No, Belmont has finished first 7 of those 10 years, and Murray the other 3. One of us has won the conference tournament, I think 8 out of those 10 years. A lot of great head-to-head games. So it was great that it worked out that way. When we made the move back in the summer, Murray State wasn't even on the radar. So we made the move without any thought or concern of whether or not they would be going with us. But as it turns out, due to Loyola Chicago leaving and going to the A-10, Murray was able to grab that last spot, as well as University of Illinois Chicago. We'll be the 3 new members. 1 member going out, Loyola Chicago, and then Illinois Chicago, Murray State, Belmont coming in.
Interesting. Speaking of change, though, Coach, it's not just the teams and schedule that will change. That roster of yours is certainly going to be a little different as you lose 5 graduate students, including Moose and Grayson Murphy.
In fact, Casey, when Chris was saying the end of an era, I was less thinking about the conference move, and I was more thinking about former Independence guard Grayson Murphy finally stepping out of the program. I mean, that's that young man has been able to get a lot done during his career at Belmont.
Yeah, to say the least. And the timing for us going to the Valley is not good as far as what we're losing and having to replace those guys. I wish we would have been lined up a little bit better. But yeah, 5 seniors, all 5th-year guys. All of them graduated last May, and they'll all have their MBA at the end of this summer. So highly accomplished guys and guys that have added a lot to the program, and none of them more than Nick Muzinski and Grayson Murphy. Those 2 guys. Between the 2 of them, I guess they have 7 all-conference honors. Grayson was the Defensive Player of the Year 2 different times. So they've given a lot to this program, and they're not going to be replaced. I mean, we'll have to find another way to be good because we're not going to have anybody as good as either one of those guys next year.
Well, I think everybody in this room, Casey, has signed off on at least one of your incoming freshmen because Jacoby Gillespie is special.
Talk about a steal.
Yeah, we're excited about it. He had an unbelievable senior year. He's had an unbelievable high school career. I mean, you look at what Greenville's done, on the gridiron the last 2 years. Came up a little short this year, but had a heck of a team and season, and then back-to-back state championships. And he's clearly been the leader of both of those teams. He's a special athlete. He's a great kid, and we fully expect him to come in here and make a difference right away. That's our expectation. It doesn't always happen just quite as easily as you think it should, but he's got all the talent, and we're really excited about him.
Former Brentwood Academy quarterback Casey Alexander likes those multi-sport guys.
There you go.
That's right. I've told a lot of people, Mo, over the years. It was probably my biggest claim to fame is being Brentwood Academy's worst quarterback of all time. You know, I think that might be me. We had some great teams. But that's about all I can say for my quarterbacking.
Well, I will say this, Casey. If that is accurate, it's only by elimination, because they had so many studs at that spot. And I would not say that, but I'll let you self-assess anyway. Shifting gears, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you, what do you think about this Final Four? I mean, for all of the expected unpredictability of this NCAA tournament, the teams that you've got in New Orleans for the Final Four are completely expected and totally unexpected at the same time, almost.
No, I totally agree. I mean, you think about, three traditional blue bloods in Duke and Carolina and Kansas, and then Villanova has been as good as any program in the country over the last 10 years. And so, it's not any surprise at all that they could find themselves in the Final Four. But, I think we had 7 members maybe of our family, my immediate family, my brothers, some friends, whatever, fill out brackets, and literally not one of us had any of these 4 teams in the Final Four. So,
it's funny.
That tells you a little bit about our intellect, but at the same time, it's just, everybody likes Gonzaga, everybody likes, Arizona, and then you had the Purdue's and the Auburns and the Iowas and a lot of teams out there that looked better positioned for a Final Four run than these guys did, but here they are.
Well, we talked to Joe Rexrode earlier this week, and this is the most blue blood Final Four in the history of time, and yet nobody expected it. That's so crazy.
Really yeah, and of course Rexrode probably had Michigan State coming out of his season. He probably had them in there 4 times.
And Michigan losing in the first round for sure.
Wow.
There you go.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to, I was looking at his roster earlier, and I scrolled down to the coaches, and I actually have a little connection to Belmont. I didn't realize this. And we were talking about officials earlier, Coach. I used to be a high school official in Alabama. The first foul I ever called was on Mick Hedgepeth when he was playing at Crossville. So
high school.
That was the first. It was one of those summer camps where you're learning how to do what you're supposed to do. And first foul I ever called was on Mick. He was a all-state guy, and I didn't know who he was. I just saw the 6'8" guy with his feet about 7 feet wide on a screen, and I said, "No, that's too wide for a screen. So we're moving. We're going the other direction." He was pretty upset.
And I'm sure he remembers it.
There and for us. Hey, you know what? If you're going to cut your teeth on officiating, I'd say Crossville, Alabama's a good place to start.
Ain't no doubt, because nobody else is there. Coach, we appreciate your time as always, and looking forward to watching the new era start in the Valley, and with this new look program without Grayson Murphy and Moose and Caleb Hollander and a lot of great ball players moving on, but I know you got several coming in, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Belmont's been a good program for a long time, so our plan is to keep it that way. But I appreciate you guys. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Casey Alexander, Belmont men's basketball coach here on Main Street Sports today. Again, they're not the only conference that's going to look a lot different. Obviously, Belmont, Bradley, Drake, not Duke, goodness, Evansville.
That would be interesting,
wouldn't it? But some of these, this area, Evansville, Illinois State, Indiana State, Missouri State, even, that's not too far away from Eastern Illinois, Southern Illinois, Edwardsville, SEMO. It's not entirely crazy. You're just going a little bit farther northwest.
Yeah.
When you get into the northern Iowas, the Bradleys and the Drakes and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to go to play the Sycamores of Indiana State, home of one Larry Bird.
It's going to be interesting. Like I said, the different teams that are going to be coming in here to play Belmont. It's just going to be different for these fans, I think, instead of seeing
who the heck is Bradley?
Bradley who?
Yeah. Does anybody know what Bradley's mascot is?
The Braves.
No.
Oh, they're asking that. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Who do we beat this week? Beat the what? But I am a Braves fan.
The Bears.
I mean,
yeah.
For Missouri State, sure. It's interesting. And then, other conferences that we talk about a lot here, obviously Conference USA is going to look a lot different with FIU, Jacksonville State, Liberty, and New Mexico State and Sam Houston joining the conference for basketball.
ASUN.
Coming out of, the ASUN's going to look entirely different with Austin P heading over there to join Eastern Kentucky and Lipscomb. North Alabama obviously still in that. And then, I mean, it's truly going to be unique because, when you think about Conference USA and they're only going to have I think 9 or 10 teams. They're going from 14 or 15 to 9. So
they got rated.
They did get rated.
And it feels like, I don't care what anybody says, it just feels like they were completely and totally unprepared for it.
I think they thought they were in a good place. And
I think that's the problem. When you think you're in a good place, there's a real good chance that you're not.
Yeah, the unfortunate part was that the American Conference was able to get teams like UTSA and North Texas to move, and Rice, all those Texas schools that you thought weren't going anywhere all went.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and I was having a conversation on Facebook. Not only was Conference USA unprepared, but it feels like to me that Western and Middle were unprepared as well.
I mean, Western wasn't necessarily unprepared. The problem was that
there was an all or nothing situation there. And
and I think Middle was saying, listen, we're about to spend all our money on this new
upgrade
building project. We can't pay exit fees right now. And it just was bad timing.
Yeah.
It wasn't they were necessarily unprepared. It was just bad timing for Middle. And the unfortunate part is
okay, what exit fees are Marshall and Old Dominion, and who are they paying any exit fees? It doesn't sound like it.
I don't know. That's a great question. We don't know the answer to that. Jacksonville State hasn't paid anybody.
Yeah.
So
they've left 2 conferences and yet to write a check.
It says so much, doesn't it, Mo?
Yeah,
you just
right.
Dip out.
Yeah, it's like, come get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoot. Yeah, all right.
I mean, but here's the thing: is Western and Middle are in good spots. I mean, yeah, it kind of stinks to be playing FIU and Liberty and La Tech, but then you think about it and you go, now, don't get me wrong, Sam Houston is a good football team, but they were a good FCS team.
I'm just looking.
How does that transfer?
I'm looking forward to that MTSU New Mexico softball series out at Las Cruces or wherever NMSU is.
My guess is you would play New Mexico State and UTEP on one trip, right?
I'd hope.
Just make it a week. Make a week of it. I mean, that's what I would do. But I don't know. It's gonna this conference and
or even worse, New Mexico State. Excuse me, FIU. Yeah,
it's something,
huh?
That's what Conference USA was trying to do from the start, and it didn't work. Whatever. They had to have somebody to pair up with UTEP, though. UTEP was just kind of stuck on an island. So
now FIU's on an island. I mean, once you get past,
which is, I don't think that Conference USA thought FAU and FIU, or I don't think it would be either or. I think they thought at least one of them, or both of them, or neither of them would leave.
Right.
And yet, they did split up. So
I mean, who is the next closest school in this conference to FIU? Jacksonville State?
probably.
Man,
I mean, it's
that's bad.
and it's not. Well, maybe La Tech, but that's only because they're in a different direction. If you, as a crow flies, it's definitely La Tech, but I don't know. Anyway, let's get to Wild and Wacky Wednesday, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world, coming at you right next on Main Street Sports Today. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the NCAA.
Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller bring you all the latest in sports from Robertson and Montgomery counties on the Main Street North podcast. It's the MSP North podcast. It airs live Thursdays at 1. The duo talk about high school sports and beyond. This week, Brady and Blaine welcome Clarksville Academy baseball coach Dustin Smith and Springfield softball coach Daniel Owsley. What's live on Main Street Media social media? That's right, Main Street Media, social media platforms, or listen to podcasts on your podcast distribution platform of choice. That's the MSP North Podcast with Brady McAtamney and Blaine Keller. Subscribe today.
Welcome back in. It is Main Street Sports Today. Time for Wild and Wacky Wednesday, where we give you the weirdest and wildest news from across the world. If you would like to sponsor this segment, we would love to have you do so. Always a good time to talk about Florida men and Florida woman, and you never know what you're going to get. Today we start in Kentucky, where a Kentucky hotel has a unique I don't even know if this is like something exciting. When you go to the hotels and you got to pay the pet fee because you maybe bring your dog or with you or whatever, like that's interesting, right? I mean, you want to bring your pets because they're part of your family.
Sure.
Well,
done that.
Visit LEX, the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Lexington, teamed up with Elwood Hotel and Suites to offer a special set of amenities to guests traveling with their houseplants.
Houseplants.
Yeah, bring your houseplants. The world's first pet plant-friendly hotel experience.
Hey, it's my kind of place.
What are you doing? Who is taking their houseplants on vacation?
Oh, you totally missed that? It's my kind of place. Bringing your plants. Man, wow.
JP plant. Okay.
Last name.
Sorry. That one went right over my head. Well done. That was a good joke.
My kind of place. Yeah.
Except I
wasn't ready.
I really wasn't. I mean, let's be honest here.
Those are the best ones, I guess, right?
Sorry,
continue. Travel with your houseplants.
The Gardener's Premier Corner Room Package for 6 king suites, specially chosen for their abundance of plant-friendly natural light.
Okay.
I'd rather bring natural light than my plants. I'm just saying. Look.
I guess I just never would have thought that special accommodations had to be made
necessary.
for plants.
I mean,
how many people are traveling with their plants?
Clearly enough that
something had to be done
in Kentucky, at least.
Well,
I mean, Kentucky is.
Well, maybe these people don't have anyone that can come water their plants while they're gone. So you got to bring them with you. You don't want them to die.
You don't want them to die.
It's
actually not a bad. Yeah, I mean, if
you don't have anybody that can go check on them, you bring them with you.
Yeah, there you go.
I need a room with a northern light. I don't know, the northern sun, the southern sun. It depends on the plant, but
no idea.
This place accommodates you.
Northern light, natural light.
Yeah,
whatever.
Especially chosen for natural.
So,
light.
Backstory: Sarah orders something off of Etsy. It gets sent to. She puts in the right address, Columbia, Tennessee, 38401. Mm-hmm. The woman puts on the package, Columbia, Tennessee, 38401. Where does it go?
Columbia, South Carolina.
Cookville, 38501.
Okay.
Apparently, it got mixed up at the distribution center in Nashville. So somebody out there's got a bubble outfit with strawberries monogrammed on it that would fit Charlie right now. Somebody in Cookville. I wish we knew who it was because I would have gotten Chip to bring it back yesterday, but
there you go.
Not. An Illinois woman said more than 15 pairs of really, three reallys, tacky shoes have been mistakenly delivered to her home over the course of a year. Oak Park, Illinois resident said shoes started being delivered to her home by UPS a year ago. Between 15 and 20 pairs have since arrived, and they're really funny.
Is somebody pranking her?
I don't know. She said she returned one box of shoes to a UPS store, explained the whole thing, and she understood, and she took them back, and then 4 days later, they came back in the mail.
Okay.
They were supposed to have been returned to Amazon, so apparently her address is close enough to the Amazon return address.
Oh, that's dangerous.
And so she's just getting random stuff.
That is dangerous.
Yeah. So anyway, it's an Amazon vendor out of China, and the vendor's return label bears the word Simone and an address on Elm Street in Chicago. The address is not a return center, so a UPS attempt to correct the address error led them to being sent to Simone in Oak Park. That's if you were going to get something randomly at your house, what would you hope it was?
Something I could use.
Bourbon?
Bourbon would be nice.
I mean, that's
yeah.
Even if it was not great bourbon, I would take it.
Yeah. Free bourbon's better than no bourbon.
There you go. All right. Well, so we'll end the day. We're not going to go to Florida man. We're not going to go to Florida woman. We're going to go to Florida duck.
Oh. What?
A Florida hospital's labor and delivery center welcomed an unusual delivery when the mother duck hatched her eggs in the facility's courtyard. At least she knew where to go.
Maybe the duck thought they were at the Peabody Hotel.
Must have. Baptist Medical Center Beaches in Jacksonville Beach said in a Facebook post the staff escorted the mother duck and her 10 ducklings through the building after the eggs hatched in the delivery's fenced-in courtyard. The delivery center said the ducks had to walk through the building to get out of the courtyard, which does not have an exit to the outside. We're still quacking up over this story.
Wow.
That's
wow. That's a lot of beef over fish there.
Right.
I wasn't. I mean, anyway, that's interesting though. I mean, how'd the ducks get in? Did the duck fly in? How did the duck get into the courtyard? If there's no exit, there's no entrance.
Into the courtyard?
Yeah.
Snuck in. Ducked in? I don't know.
It reminds me of one of my favorite Mitch Hedberg.
Waddled in?
Nice. It reminds me of one of my favorite Mitch Hedberg jokes about the feeding ducks from Subway. And he goes to Subway and orders a sandwich. And he's like, no, it's for a duck. And then he was like, oh, well, then it's free. He said, I didn't know ducks eat for free at Subway. If I had known that, I would have ordered a much larger sub. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one to go out on.
Florida Ducks. Gotta love them. Come back tomorrow. Hopefully we have scheduled Bernard Childress and
Kevin Ingram of Vanderbilt radio fame, as we continue to get ready for this huge
weekend series
with top-ranked Tennessee.
After their 7-1 win over Lipscomb. Vanderbilt won 7-1 over Lipscomb, and Tennessee
is
playing today
against Western Carolina,
and they get Lipscomb next week. So, softball, Lipscomb is at Tennessee today. Softball, though. So,
there we go.
It's all intermingled.
There we go.
Intertwined.
All right.
It's going to be a good show tomorrow. Thanks to Heather and Casey for hanging out with us today. And tomorrow should be a great show. So come back 2:00. We'll be right here on Main Street Sports Today.